Why would you call her? See, what are you hiding? Let's talk about it. Let's go there. That's the kind of stuff we're trying to create within a group. Now, the other thing I want you to think about as life group leaders is that leaders raise up leaders, but you can't lead somebody where you've never been. So the issue of being and making disciples is that you've got to become a follower of Christ who's a disciple first. You say, well, I'm not sure how to do that. I go, I know, that's why you're here, and that's why we're going to put a coach with you. And that's why we're going to have a campus pastor with you. That's why we're going to provide these trainings that you don't think you need, but you do need them. Because again, it's not about the content, but it's about looking across the table at somebody else who's pouring their guts out in a group, who experiences the same panic that you do when they look across the table at their life group, and they don't know what to say any more than you know what to say in your group, and you look at them and they know exactly how you feel. It's the same reason I love talking to other pastors. I can go with another pastor to lunch. I was just with a guy here this last week. There's just something about it because he gets my world. He understands it. And he says, I'm experiencing this. And I'm like, wow, I know exactly how you feel. That's why we do these kind of things, because now you've got leaders with leaders knowing what it means to be in that world. But you're going to raise up other leaders, which means we're asking you as a life group leader to facilitate a group, to disciple an individual, and to mine for other leaders, to raise them up. Something I'm going to be sharing here in the coming weeks that's kind of stirring in me is that we're not hungry anymore like we used to be hungry. You know what I mean by that? And this is true confession. When we started the church, I had the creative team make me business cards, not with my info on it, but with church info on it. Everybody I saw got one, whether they wanted it or not. Hey, you ought to come. 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 Anybody. Dude down the street, guy who wants a couple bucks at the corner, guy making my coffee, everybody got one. Come, 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 come. I don't do that anymore. You know why? They came. Yay. We made it. What about the guy who hasn't come? What about the gal whose life's a mess and she needs Jesus, but I quit because they came? Convicting for me. And I bet I'm not alone. See, it used to be that as a life group leader, you had 10 people in your life group and you were mining for leaders because the only 10 people who were in life groups were at your kitchen table. And you knew if an 11th person came, you outgrew your living room, you needed another leader. So boy, you found one and you made one. We don't do that anymore. Now we make announcements. Hey, if you want to be a life group leader, sign up on this list. Really? So we're just passively waiting instead of actively hunting for, actively recruiting, actively inviting, actively developing. So we're not hungry like we used to be hungry because we're looking at the wrong numbers. Because we show up and we park at whatever campus we go to and we have to walk a little bit. We're waiting in a queue, a line to check in our kids to Kids Connection. We come in to sit, and we're trying to find a seat. We end up in a brown folding chair. We got somebody making coffee. We got somebody at the iHub. We got somebody leading worship. We got somebody preaching. Everything's handled, and so we're not hungry anymore. And I want to challenge you to something. The number we need to be looking at is not the number of people that are coming to our church, but the number of people that aren't. It's not the number of people that are in life groups. It's the number of people who aren't. And if we're really going to accomplish the mission that God has for us as a body of believers, it's because we're looking at the people that aren't, not that are. And it doesn't mean we neglect who's coming. It means that we understand with perspective that who's coming does not dictate success for a church. When are we done? Like, when do we really just go, hey, high fives, well done, man, good game? When he takes us home, we do that. When he calls us to be with him, we'll do that. Until then, we got to get hungry. And the best place it's going to happen is life groups. For you as leaders to set the pace for what it means to be the church as an equipping place, as a training place, and a sending place. You are the church. There is nobody else in the front lines but you. There's not enough pastoral staff we can hire. There's not enough seminary interns we can bring on board. You're it. Do you feel that? Privilege and responsibility. Do you feel that? You are going to make disciples in this church. You are going to lead people to Christ. You're going to disciple them. You may even do their weddings. You may even be there when crisis happens. That's you. What a privilege. And I hope you feel the opportunity there to live as Christ would call you to live, because there's no higher calling than doing what you're doing. And the good news is, if you feel the stress level rising a little bit, I say, good, I'm glad you're here. Because we will do what we are biblically called to do, and that is equip you so that you can be all that God wants you to be. That's what it means to be a life group leader. All right? We want to share with you some more things, though. And what we'd like to do is keep things moving a little bit. So I'd like to invite Melissa to come up, Melissa Danisi. She's going to talk to you a little bit about how to lead a life group and how to be a leader, understanding who you are and recognizing the both opportunities and potential problems of your personality, your strengths, your wiring in terms of how it implicates a group. So, Melissa, let's give her a hand, would you?
Good morning. I'm Melissa Danisi. I have the privilege of serving on the spiritual formation team with Jared Rumley at the Clovis campus. So excited to be here with you guys this morning. I know that we opened up this training for any and all life group leaders, but we wanted to be intentional this morning equipping new life group leaders. So how many of you are here as new first-time life group leaders? Great. So a lot of you. So I think one of the important things to know to be a successful and a good life group leader is knowing yourself as a life group leader. So knowing your personality, knowing your strengths, knowing how God has made you and uniquely designed you will help you be a good life group leader. How many are familiar with your unique design? Oh, good. Okay. So if you've been to Discovery, then you know the language, and there are probably 100 people that could teach this better than I can. But understanding your personality and understanding how you've been wired will shape how you lead. So if you're a persister, and I'm sorry for those of you who haven't heard from your unique design, I'll do a very brief summary of each. Your unique design is just a personality assessment, so it's kind of an overview of 6 main personality traits that we're all made up of. And if you're a persister, so that's one of the personality traits, you're going to lead with an evaluating lens. You're opinionated, you're pretty black and white, you have strong passion, strong conviction, and you're going to lead from that. That's going to shape how you lead. That's me. I'm a persister, so I lead with what I'm passionate about. I lead out of conviction. I lead out of my black and white thinking, which can be a strength and sometimes a weakness. How many of you are persisters in here? Okay, so you know. Okay, and if you're an achiever, these are people who are going to lead from a thinking lens. So you're logical, you're rational, you're going to start your group on time and end on time. You're going to stay on task. How many of you are achievers in here? Okay. Yep, so you know. Okay. Yeah. If you're a catalyzer, you're going to lead with an action lens. So you, I think the biblical example is Rahab. You can spring into action. You sense danger. You take risks. You're going to lead that way. How many of you are catalyzers? What? One? That's okay. Dreamer. You're reflective. You're going to lead. You're going to need a lot of alone time, a lot of personal space. You're probably not going to lead a group that has 25 people in it. How many of you are dreamers in here? A few, okay. Harmonizers, you are relational. You have a feelings lens that you're going to lead through. So your group is going to be super relational. You're going to know your people in your group. How many of you are harmonizers here? A lot of harmonizers. Yep. An energizer. So you're playful, you have a reacting lens, you're fun. How many are energizers in here? Exactly, 2, because an energizer would never come to a 3-hour Saturday training because it's not fun. So you will lead differently than a persister or an achiever. But knowing those things about yourself can really help you lead your group. This may come as a shock to you. It was a shock to me. Not everyone in your group thinks the same way that you do or perceives the world or life the same way that you do. Understanding that about myself helped me have more grace for people who live in the gray. So understanding that I'm a black and white thinker, That's going to be really hard for the energizers in my group and probably the harmonizers in my group who don't think as black and white as I do. So it helps me just foster a safe environment for spiritual growth by knowing who I am as a leader. So understanding your personality, but it's not just personality that shapes us as leaders, it's also specific experiences that you've had. And I'm from the era when Brad was talking about, sorry, life groups are full, you can't join. I came to the well as a non-believer. I came to the well broken. I came to the well looking for people in my life who could lead me, and I was told, sorry, life groups are full. And I didn't know what to do. By God's grace, I snuck into one. But because of that experience, you better believe that my life group is always open. I never close it. I let anybody in. I invite in. Because I came to Christ through brokenness, through losing my father, that experience makes me drawn to the broken and drawn to the lost. So my life group is full of people, some people who are church people and some who are not believers, some who are lost, some who are broken. So I want you to be thinking through the experiences that you've had that shape how you lead, and your giftings too. You have been created uniquely with intentionality, gifted like nobody else in this room. So think through your giftings. What has God given you? What gifts, what passions has He given specific to you that you can lead from? So knowing those things about yourself will help you to be a good leader. And then last, I hope you guys are all familiar with the Wells mission statement. Yes, helping people connect to God and each other in every neighborhood. You're going to be bent toward one of those three areas. You're going to be bent toward helping people connect to God or helping people connect to each other, or in every neighborhood. You might have that service, missional oriented mind. Knowing that about yourself is going to help you lead. I'm personally bent toward connecting to God. So in my life group, I am always asking people, were you abiding in Christ this week? How's your time with the Lord? Did you worship Him this week? That's just my bent. We go through books. I've been through Romans 3 times with my life group because I want to know that we are rooted in the Word. So that's going to be my bent. Connecting to each other, because I'm always thinking through the lens of connecting to God, is kind of a weakness of mine. So I don't plan fun things for our life group to do very often. We share meals together sometimes, but it's not the natural way that I'm going to go in a life group. Harmonizers are really, really, really good at that. So I co-lead, because I'm a persister, I co-lead with a harmonizer energizer. Where I am weak, she is strong. So she plans fun things. She's checking in relationally. She's telling me that was a little too harsh, what you just spoke to that person after life group. So knowing my strengths helps me find someone in my group that can complement me. If you're not organized, find someone in your group who is. If you're not thinking every neighborhood, I'm sure there's someone in your group who is. Find somebody who is thinking how to reach the least of these, or how to go out and serve and be an intentional blessing in your community. But you have to first know yourself. So know your personality, know how you're wired, know that that's going to shape how you view things and how you lead. Know your giftings, know your passions, know experiences that shape how you lead, and then know where you're bent in our mission statement, and find someone in your group who can maybe complement you in those things. So I wanted most of our time to be table discussion because it's really finding out who you are, knowing yourself as a leader. So I have some questions up here, and you guys have, 15, 20 minutes to discuss your personality, discuss strengths, weaknesses, discuss mission statement, and where you're bent. Okay? And I'm up here. If you have any questions, you can feel free to come and ask me too.